And let me know what you say. I have
Let a little cash get the best of me. No one thought the best of me. Bigger life than who was best for me. You about as loving and understanding as you can be.
Hey, it is me, Wanda B, and you are tuned into He Said, She Said with Wanda B. I'm here in the Intellectual Radio Studios doing something different for Mother's Day because, hey, it's Mother's Day. I celebrate you mothers. And for myself, I decided to do something a little bit different for Mother's Day. So here we go. We're going to do from our studios. I'm loving this, something different. So I have some topics that came into He Said, She Said. We have a Facebook group. I'd love for you to join that group and chime in. It's called He Said, She Said. Look for the yellow and gold. You see the symbol here. It looks just like that. Join the Facebook group. I'd love for you to do that. So I have some topics that came from the group. A lot has been said about R. Kelly this week. So it's a lot being said about women and their love for R. Kelly and his music, despite his indiscretions that he hasn't been found guilty of, yet now he's being taken off Apple Music and Spotify. And is that right? Is that a thing that's right to do when he hasn't been convicted of a crime and he's already being penalized? So there's a lot of topics, a lot of chatter been going on about that. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. And okay, I'm gonna have to put on my glasses because I can't see. Nope, I can't see somehow. Happy Mommy's Day. Thank you everybody on Facebook. Please chime in if you're on Facebook and you're home celebrating Mother's Day with your moms. Tell them I said happy Mother's Day as well, and to my 4 kitties who very nice to me today. So and thank you, Harold and Tony and Davey, everybody who's liking the broadcast. I appreciate you guys. So, and yes, to all the moms out there. So I would love to hear your feedback. What do you think about R. Kelly? I'm going to say that I have personally stopped stepping in the name of love. Now, I know you guys know that I'm a stepper and I love to step. I love to dance, but now I have tried to sit my little behind down when Steps in the Name of Love comes on, because I'm feeling some sort of way with R. Kelly. And as a mom with Tyson said R. Kelly did that stuff. Thank you, Tyson. Guys, please check out 30 and Up doing 30 and Up Doing Us. They are such a fun group on Facebook. And Tyson is a hilarious, when I say hilarious, a hilarious comedian. So you have to look for his videos. I want you to absolutely go and make it an effort to go search out one of his videos, because if you want to laugh, you are going to laugh, because he is just a very, very funny comedian. And you can find him over Chicago. So look where he's performing, and also join the group 30 and Up Doing Us. They're one of my sister groups that share the broadcast, and we have a fun time with them. Happy Mother's Day, Aaron, and happy Mother's Day to everybody who chimes in. I'll try to get out to you guys and send some happy Mother's Day shout outs as well. So like I said, join 30 and Up Doing Us. So guys, so he said R. Kelly did it. So I think there are some people who have seen the video, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually have seen that video. So I do believe that he has done some of the things that he's accused of. And as a hi James, tell me what you think about this topic, James. So what do you think? I mean, should his music though be taken off of Apple and taken off of Spotify if he hasn't been convicted of that crime? It's true, we know about Aaliyah, even though I think she was somewhat consenting. I know she was underage, but somewhat consenting, right? No? What do you think? Let me know what you think. So for me, it's kind of bittersweet. I don't think people should be judged judged without going through the legal format of being judged, and we become his judge and jury. And so since he hasn't been formally charged with anything, should he be penalized for something he hasn't been formally charged for? And that's, I think, what I take great issue with. So that now, not that I will listen to his music. I'm going to really try. Now it's hard because you all know, you hear the song come on in the club and you like step, and you're like, hey, oh wait, no, no, this isn't right. How do we separate crimes from the individuals, and he has created great music. So you really have to. I feel it in me sometimes to get up and then I go, no, I don't want to show that kind of support anymore for him. Now I will say the 12 play days back in the day before I knew that he hung out at Kenwood and Hyde Park Academy picking up girls. I was a fan. I've gone to a couple concerts, but now I just wouldn't. I wouldn't support him in that way. But I still don't think his income should be affected by that when he hasn't been found guilty of the crimes. So again, I'd love to know what you think on the topic, because that's my personal opinion. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's definitely how I feel. So pedophilia is wrong, James. You're right. Absolutely. And no way do I condone pedophilia. That is definitely wrong. But has he been charged for it? So, James, I'm sorry. Tony, I missed what you said. Well said. I'm reposting that. Let me see what you said. See, now this is the time I need my crew with me, because I can't see your comment. Do me a favor, and if you want to call in, you can call in, and then I can try to add in your comment. But repost your comment for me, Tony. Dub Nation, I know it's your season. Your season is coming up for your sport, so people have to come out and watch you guys play. So put that. Would you go to the doctor who was really good at the thing they need if he was a racist? Good question. I guess that's the same concept. If he's really good at what he does, but he doesn't like. That's a hard one, James. Very good question. Would you go to a doctor who was really good at the thing that so you have cancer and you have a rare form of cancer, and there is a doctor that is a racist. He's a racist, but he's the only one who knows how to deal with this rare form of cancer. Would you still go to him? I think I'd be kind of scared. I don't know if he'd help the dear black little girl the same way he would. I think I'm going to have to take my chances with my cancer instead of him. I'm not going to go to the doctor that way. I don't think I will. Let's try top. What did you say? I love the group. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I understand, because happy people is my favorite. I know, right? That makes you want to get up and dance. It really does. But I'm not getting up and dance anymore. I sit down and protest because I'm protesting. But Brian Howard said everybody should have alerted when he married Aaliyah when she was 14. But I thought did her parents know? Because then I think that's a different story when your parents have given the okay. Because marrying 14-year-olds has gone back to Loretta Lynn. And Loretta Lynn married when she was 12, I think. And Celine Dion married her manager. And so when your parents are in agreement, is that still a crime? That's where I get confused with Aaliyah, because so you guys can maybe tell me, I'm not really sure if her parents were in agreement with her marrying R. Kelly, because then if your parents give their consent, is that okay? And so I would love to see, Tony, I missed your comment again. The way Facebook is set up, it makes it very hard to keep up with the comments. So it's child slavery. That's an interesting way of putting it, James Smith. Child slavery. Has he enslaved them? Rape, definitely. I think what really is hard for women is the term the fast girls, and almost like some people put it as if girls put themselves in that situation and they know what they're in for. But when you're a child, I think you can make really dumb decisions for yourself, and it's up to us as parents to look out for our children and their dumb decisions, because money sways people. Money sways adults, let alone swaying children. And the fame. People are attracted to fame, and sometimes that will blind them. So Tyson said, I think they have. I think when they have your crimes on bootleg VHS tape, you can assume he did it. That is true. I will say that we do have actually evidence of his crimes. I think you're right, there's evidence. So whether he's been convicted or not, We have the evidence. If you've ever seen the videotape, you see R. Kelly. So there is evidence to what he does. So that's true. He hasn't been convicted of the crime, but we definitely have the evidence that he's done it. And so I love to hear from you guys who are fathers, because that's so. I know, Tyson, you're a father of a daughter, and James, I know you're a parent as well. Know that their parents sell them. Now, James, I don't know, did Aaliyah's parents sell her to R. Kelly, or the thought of fame for them was that intriguing and having their daughter get to fame and she was willing? So Tony says, at some point we have to stop allowing talent to be an excuse for horrendous actions. If we hold him accountable, maybe he can get help. And that's true. Why would he? There's no catalyst for R. Kelly correcting his behavior if it doesn't affect his life. If we continue to condone it and hand over our daughters, some parents even are handing over their daughters. If we continue to condone it, why would he correct the behavior until it starts hitting him in his pockets? Now, what I've seen a lot of people bring up with the R. Kelly issue is that Hugh Hefner, they bring up the contrast of Hugh Hefner has done this for years and not been penalized. Well, he has had underage girls, and it's celebrated. Other celebrities go and videotape themselves at the Hugh Hefner house. He's had 4 and 5 underage girls that he will all have as his harem, and he doesn't have Playboy taken off the shelves or taken off the internet. So people also offer the argument that why should R. Kelly be penalized differently than the likes of Hugh Hefner? So Tony Brand said, and just because he wasn't convicted doesn't mean he is innocent. OJ was found not guilty, but I think we will feel different. And that's true too. He wasn't found guilty, but does that make him innocent? And like Tyson said, we have actual proof that he did it. So when you have the proof that you did it, does that still give us the right to penalize him for those actions when he hasn't been convicted of it? Because OJ gets to be free. If he's found innocent, even if we think he's guilty, he still gets to be free and earn an income. Now, he found in a civil case to be guilty, so therefore he can't own an income. You're right, Brian. Playboy has its own channel. Hugh has not been penalized one bit for having underage girls around him. And James said it's wrong, period. It's wrong, period. So it is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. We can't, I don't care how wild the teenager is, we have to protect teenage children who make poor decisions for themselves, who don't have the parents who make those wise decisions for them. When do we stand up for our community and stand up for those children, even if their parents are not? I just know too many. I have an 18-year-old, I have a 20-year-old, and they don't always make smart decisions. So myself as a parent has to step in for them. And will I step in for my sisters, for my daughter's friends? Yes, I would. If I saw them making poor decisions for themselves, I'm going to step in as a surrogate parent and help them make those decisions. James Smith said he can't come around my daughter. He cannot come around my daughter either. I will say that if R. Kelly doesn't make enough money to have the likes of my child, to have my daughter be around R. Kelly just because he's R. Kelly. So I've also had people say they're just sick of the topic. So I'd like to hear from you guys too that feel like we've let R. Kelly, I've heard people say we've let R. Kelly go on this long. Why now? Why penalize him now on the heels of Bill Cosby? Why do we feel now is the right time to go after R. Kelly so heavily when we've let him get away with it this long? So what does a grown butt man get from a prepubescent child? And I think I don't know if that's a fetish or illness. I think that may be in the categories of a real illness. So someone who has an illness, a mental illness of some sort, or I don't know the difference of fetishes and illnesses and where that line is crossed with people and their fetishes and illnesses. So I'm really appreciating you guys who are chiming in on Facebook, and please share the broadcast as well. And I appreciate you guys, James, Brian, Tony, who are adding to that broadcast. I appreciate that. So, like I said, we have a group, He Said, She Said, on Facebook. So join that group. That's where a lot of our topics on the show every week come from. Usually I have my dear co-hosts with me, but they're celebrating with their moms today. So a big shout out to Okara, Nemia, Valencia, James Borche, who is a certified life coach for He Said, She Said, who contributes every week. Next week, on the show, we're going to talk about the movie Acrimony, and we're going to have some special guests in, and we're going to talk about the movie Acrimony. I have to still go see it, but I'm going to go see it this week because there was some requests put in to talk about acrimony, because that situation comes up quite often for males in dating. So we're going to talk about acrimony next week. So please tune in. He Says, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. We're on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, Spreaker, and so forth. So thank you all who are chiming in. I so appreciate you. So I don't know. I know for myself personally, I am not going to allow myself to be a fan of R. Kelly any longer. His music does not offset his crimes for me. As a mother, I just can't continue to see myself putting his music separate of his actions, when if it were my daughter, no way could I ever separate his actions from what he does. So Tony says, R. Kelly is passionate. He speaks about it in his music. The reason we love R. Kelly's music is because he's tapped into our passion for whatever we enjoy. Stepping, sex. And that is very true. His music is intense. It does speak to I'm sure there are children now, little auras running around because of his 12 play. And come on, that era, that whole album was just huge in that time. So James said he needs therapy, and absolutely, he's sick. There's a sickness. Hey, Vicky, you got to come on and be a guest on the show. So James said he watched a woman throw her daughter at Rob K. And I do think there are still women to this day who have no problem. Fame is huge for people. Fame, giving their bodies is not something that they would say no to for money and fame. So I think that's been going on since the beginning of time too. Women who are willing to sacrifice their bodies, their sense of self for fame and fortune, and that's been going on. And I don't think that'll stop with R. Kelly. There'll be the next one and the next one. And yes, I agree, James. I absolutely feel he needs therapy. He is sick. It's definitely an illness to have that craving for girls and find it being normal. But I do think there's others who have that and get away with it. But at this time that we know his crimes, should we step away from R. Kelly? I'm going to say it's definitely time to put R. Kelly aside in the things that he says and does. So a topic that came up in my inbox was dating, and definitely social media and dating. Someone mentioned that people have a problem with dating and finding someone in Facebook groups, but they have no problem meeting a random stranger in a club. And so what is the difference of someone meeting someone in a club and meeting someone in a Facebook group? So what is the difference to you guys of meeting someone in a club versus meeting someone in a Facebook group? Do you feel like there's differences? And would you date someone that you met in a group on Facebook? Do you think, and now Facebook's even coming out with their own dating site, so that's becoming a thing. Well, to find love on Facebook, could you meet someone on a social media platform and start dating them? So I would like to hear from you guys, or your thoughts on meeting someone from a Facebook group and seeing if that was possible for you to get to know them that way. And of course, my computer has frozen. This new format is like really saying, "Oh, girl, I don't know how we feel about this." So it's going to give me a hard time. But you know what? I'm going to keep it moving. So I'll be able to get to your comments in a minute. But so I think, to me, social media is kind of no different and I know there will be people who don't agree. It's kind of not very different than actually meeting someone in a club. Yes, face to face is different, but or texting. What's the difference of texting someone? And I think there are people who I know people say, "Oh, you can't really get to know someone from social media, that you can't get to know them." Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I really have seen somebody voice their opinions on Facebook, and I go, "Wow, ooh, okay, they seem a little off." And right there, you would know just based on their comments that some of their feelings about things. I think people really do share their true and genuine feelings on topics. So whether how they feel about Donald Trump, or so if politics was huge for you and you saw from social media that they were a huge Trump supporter, that may be something that is a deal breaker for you. So can you learn people's deal breakers from social media and how they portray themselves on social media? I think so. And that's some of the questions you ask on a first date. So what is the difference there of meeting someone on social media? You're seeing how they think on different topics, the opinions they post, and forming an opinion from that, and saying that you know what your deal breakers are, you know what you like and dislike, and go, okay, would that even be fun to sit over a cup of coffee with that person and discuss this when you know everything they post on Facebook you're against? So I do think that sometimes it could weed out some of the conversation, or you could be intrigued by that person. The things that they post, you can see that they're very witty. I know in our Facebook group, there are people that I know are super witty, and you go, wow, I would like to get to know that person because they're funny. And so I know there a lot of the ladies in that group I've asked to come on the show because of the opinions that they have. And I go, wow, she's really witty, or wow, I just totally don't agree with what he said. I don't get it. Don't know. But I would love to discuss that. And so I'd ask them to come on the show because I love how they voice their opinion, whether I agree or disagree. And I think that is sometimes some of the things you find out when you're even on first dates. So with social media, like getting some of the initial questions out of the way for that first date, so yes, I would like to get to know more about that person. And so I know I'm not getting to your comments yet because I'm waiting for my computer to reboot. So we're going on. So hopefully you are putting your thoughts together for that topic, and I will definitely get to your comments as soon as my computer reboots for me, because it's deciding that it wants to think on this. So another topic that has come up in the group this week, besides the R. Kelly, so you can continue to let me know what you think on the R. Kelly, should we be boycotting his music and what he does, is also social media and dating in the world of social media and Facebook, getting into the dating game. So, and if you date on social media, or if you date in the different apps, let me know which apps work for you and which apps don't. I would love to hear that as well, because our Nemia Indot, as we affectionately call her, is my socialite for He Said, She Said with Wanda B, that comes on Intellectual Radio 2:00 on Sundays. And a lot of times she will feed me the different scenarios. She has a group, Dating Chronicles, on Facebook. So in her Dating Chronicles, a lot of times she'll share with me the craziest things that have ever happened to her. So if you even have a crazy dating experience from someone you've met on social media, I'd love to hear about that as well, because I think it could work. Personally, I have met a lot of good people, a lot of good friends from social media. So I don't see where you couldn't find a love match, make a match from social media. You really do see, sometimes you can get a little whiff into that person, a little insight into that person from their social media. Yes, you never get to know their deepest, and I'm not saying that social media you can get to know people's deepest and darkest beliefs and interests from social media. I know we only get as much as they're willing to give us. And because they don't know us on social media, they're not really probably that willing to share that much. So we're only getting as much as they feel comfortable in sharing. That's still a lot of things that you find out on a first date, or sitting at a bar, sitting at Reds, and you're sitting next to them and asking them those questions. And those are questions that sometimes people find out on social media. So again, you're listening to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm here in the studios doing something a little bit different for Mother's Day, because my dear co-hosts are all sharing this day with their mothers, and Valencia, O'Kara, James Borishade, and I appreciate them so much, and they are taking some time away, but I'm doing what I love to do for Mother's Day. So I asked my daughter, I said, you know what, you should come on the show with me today. She was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, come on now, should be fun to have my daughter here. And we talk. No, I'm not doing, that's your thing. I'm not doing that. So anyway, I couldn't get Asha. And then my other son, he's in front of the video games, and his headphones are on the video games, and he's looking at me like, don't even ask me. And I thought, okay, that fighting with him to get him to talk to me and share this on Mother's Day. So I think what I love and enjoy about them is they allow me to do the things I love, and give me that time to do those things. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm doing what I love to do for Mother's Day. So dating and social media, what do you think? Do you think you could find your match on social media? So I'm back up. Thank you. So I'm going to try to get to your comments and see where we're at here, and talking about social media and how you guys feel about dating and social media. And could you meet someone on social media and have them be a love match, you think? So I'm looking for topics. Me personally, I say I could, because I am a talker and a texter. And so I think social media is kind of like the version of texting, just in a different kind of format, sort of. So I'm a texter. I'm not much. I do like talking face to face and meeting people face to face, but I'm not the phone person. So calling me on the telephone would not work for me. So some things work for some people, that wouldn't work for me. Tony Brand said, you can get a glimpse of someone through social media. We know companies are browsing your social media of potential employees. So yes, we can see signs of who you are, at least who they portray themselves to be. And I agree with that. I do believe that social media gives you a little insight into a person. Now, I do feel that it's only the amount they allow us to see, because I know I don't post my every move. I'm not one of those, I brushed my teeth today, so I'm gonna post that type person. But at the same time, I probably do post enough that someone would know I have 4 children, I work here, I do this, I do radio. So you would get some of those things that you meet, you get on a date. So Tony Brand said social media is a great tool. Use it as you would any tool. And yeah, I agree. It's kind of like people say they Google people before they go out on a date. So why wouldn't some people? Now, I don't go checking social media sites and things like that, but I guess I probably should, because if employers are doing it and they're saying be mindful of your social media, that maybe we should as well. Hi, David Seaton. David Seaton has a show here on Intellectual Radio, so I'd love for you to check them out, as well as Humanity in the Headlines. It's 1:00 on Saturdays here at Intellectual Radio. So check them out. Definitely where I get all my information about world news, from those guys for sure. So Brian said, exactly. When someone calls me, I'm like, oh no, what you doing? No, I don't like talking on the phone. Now, I know a lot of people say that as adults, we should want to talk on the phone, and texting is not right. And so I definitely think that there's no wrong or right answer there. People should do what they're comfortable with, and know what to tell somebody you own. I don't attest to the that is not for adults. I think everyone should do what they feel comfortable with. Hey, David, like I said, please check out Humanity in the Headlines 1 p.m. at IntellectualRadio.com. I really love those guys on if there is anything passed in government, I want to get the breakdown of what's happening in my world. I go to Humanity in the Headlines, and you can also look for it on my page. I share their show on my page as well on Saturdays at 1 p.m. So, okay, so again, I'd love to know what you think about social media and dating. And then if you have any topic you'd like to discuss here with everybody who's joining in on Facebook, please let me know. Put it right here in the comments and I'll read your question and we'll discuss it. So we talked about R. Kelly and our feelings of R. Kelly. And should we stop being the happy people who follow him and step in the name of love? Is it time to say that we are going to not condone or put our 2 cents in what he does, or not condone his behaviors? And is it condoning his behaviors if we do keep going to his concerts and giving him money, or is it wrong? I would like to hear from you guys too, who think it's wrong that his music is being pulled when he hasn't been convicted of any crimes. Yes, there's evidence to the crimes, but are we the judge and jury of his livelihood, and should he not be able to keep earning income from that? So I would love to hear your opinions on that. And also the social media. What do you think about social media and dating and Facebook getting into even though I don't know if Facebook actually needs a whole nother app for it, because I think people are already using Facebook as Facebook as that tool anyway, even though I've heard a lot of people say that they're excited for it. So as anything, people go to different methods for dating, and does that work? So again, you're listening to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com and on Facebook Live. And my dear Facebook Live friends are my guests today. So I'm using you guys as a guest because, like I said, my co-hosts are taking the day off to be with their mommies today. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, and to all the guys who are chiming in, and to your mommies and who share this special day with your moms. So Tony says, if you defend R. Kelly and his actions, then you shouldn't complain about Trump and his actions. Oh, very good point. We tend to defend and make excuses for who and what we like. And I think that's true. I think we can say the whole incident with Stormy and Trump and how wrong that is. But now Trump is married. So does that make a difference that R. Kelly is a single man and Trump was married when he did his? Does that make a difference to some people? And do we allow an okay or a pass to black performers more so than we do white ones? But then I guess we also brought up Hugh Hefner and him having a pass. So do we just give a pass to the people we like? If we like you, it's okay. And if we don't like you, then it's wrong. It's wrong when we don't care for who you are. And is that right or wrong? David Seaton said, if we're not attacking Hugh Hefner for dating 18-year-olds when he was 60 plus, then leave unconvicted R. Kelly alone. And David, I think is a valid point, is that R. Kelly has not been convicted of a crime, but he's already being punished for a crime he hasn't been convicted of. So do we get to attack his livelihood and his way of earning a living when he hasn't been convicted of wrongdoing? But Tony says wrong is wrong. Yes, being married is another level. And yes, wrong is wrong. Being underage is wrong. Now, is there a difference of Hugh Hefner? Is where Hugh Hefner lives, is 18-year-old legal? I think, do we have any notice that Hugh Hefner was with girls that are younger than 18? Because does that make a difference that he's in a state where being with someone 18 is legal? So does that make a difference? So You guys bring up so many valid points, and definitely something to think about. I know for me personally, I'm done with R. Kelly on a personal level because as a mother with daughters, I don't like the implication that gives. Yes, Spotify has dropped his music, David Seaton said, and I believe Apple Music has as well. And I don't know if I believe that part is right. Whether I agree that I'm going to listen to his music and purchase his music, which I'm not, I personally don't intend to. Is it correct for him to be penalized when he hasn't been convicted of a crime? That means we get to, if we don't like anyone and what they do we get to now attack their livelihood when we personally don't agree with what they do? Ernest Tuckett said 18-year-olds and minors aren't the same. I understand about him and not being convicted, but neither has Trump. But we know Trump has done wrong. Can people not conclude that R. Kelly has done wrong despite a legal conviction? And that is the thing, is he's done wrong. So when someone does wrong, though, do people, I don't know, when you do wrong, do you still get to have your livelihood taken away from you just by whose opinion of it being? Yes, he's wrong when they're underage, but Trump, the woman, is an adult. So I think that's two different things as well. Trump being married I think his more issues would be using campaign money and him being married, which I don't think is equivalent to pedophilia, which is definitely a crime. But being infidelity, I don't know if should that be judged on the same criteria, or is wrong, like you guys say, wrong is wrong. So I get that wrong is wrong, but you said, Ernest, can people not conclude that R. Kelly has done wrong despite his legal conviction? And it's absolutely a fact. And Tyson said earlier in his responses that we have proof. There's proof out there. There's a whole video on VHS somewhere that proves R. Kelly has done wrong. Ernest said Spotify is a business and can decide what to sell and what not to sell. It's not taking away livelihood. It's like you decided to not eat at Waffle House. They can't complain we're taking away their business without a conviction. And that's true. That there's another very, very, very valid point, is that any company can choose to serve and do business with whomever they choose to do business with. So if Spotify says, you know what, we're not stopping you from going out and making music on Apple or selling your CDs, we're saying our business is not going to thank you. And that's a very valid point. That I agree with that. I totally agree with that, that I could decide for my own business, if I own a business, who I choose to do business with. And if they say we choose not to do business with R. Kelly, then that's fine, as long as other people who have done the same crime as R. Kelly, white or black, you're not going to do business with as well. If you find that you have proof that someone else has done the same crime, if you're going to treat everyone equally, that you are equally going to take away whoever you find has done something of equivalent. If they've done an equivalent crime, that you're treating everyone equally and taking their music away from Spotify if they've done an equivalent crime. Ernest said, despite a lack of legal conviction. So they can't complain we're taking away their business without conviction, especially if it's only one particular group that has that right to say who they choose to do business with. And I agree with that. So Tony Brand said, even if she is 18, there is a difference in wisdom and experience. The age difference speaks to controlling attitude and a desire to be in charge. And that's for both R. Kelly and Hefner. Yes, it definitely seems like they are the older, wiser. They're the adults in the situation and are making choices I think when you choose someone underage, you know they don't have the knowledge. They haven't been on the earth half the amount of years you've been on this earth to have the experiences to give them the knowledge. So you are definitely in the wrong. You're in the wrong because you know what you're doing. I think R. Kelly knows he's wrong. David Seaton says Spotify isn't pulling Michael Jackson's music. That makes was Michael Jackson convicted? David, Ernest, you guys, Tony, was Michael Jackson ever convicted of I don't think he was convicted as well, but they're not pulling his music. So maybe, so again, I guess that is where my question lies. And David Seaton said, agreed, Spotify is making a business decision, but they are pulling an artist's music based on rumor and innuendo. Is it rumor though, David Seaton, when there's a video? There's a whole video evidence out there. So is it really considered innuendo if there is a video that if you watch the video, you can see that is R. Kelly. Now, you don't know the age of the girl in the video. And so, Tony, you're saying no, that Michael Jackson was not convicted. So Michael Jackson wasn't convicted of a crime, but he went to the same court systems as R. Kelly, and Spotify isn't pulling Michael Jackson's music from their play. And I think that's where, Ernest, where I found that is this fair? Is this fair if you're not going to find take anyone else that has been in the same circumstance? Now, I don't want Michael Jackson's music removed, so I'm not out there I'm not campaigning against Michael Jackson, because I do still feel there's a slight difference with Michael Jackson as well, because there's been no video recordings. There's been the children, I think, with Michael Jackson, have they all recanted? I'm not sure if they've all even recanted their accusations, but it really is taking away his livelihood based on him being accused. And is that necessarily fair? Now, true, Spotify can do what they want to do, but then you're right, David. Why not Michael Jackson? Are you putting it down that Michael Jackson would really hurt your business and you're really making money from Michael Jackson, but you're not really going to lose that much from R. Kelly? So you get to make a stand, look like good guys, and not lose that much, but you're not doing the same thing with Michael Jackson. Ernest said a conviction isn't the only evidence. So true, like we said, R. Kelly has a videotape out there, so there is evidence. Not knowing the age of the woman in the video with R. Kelly is the point. And I agree with that as well, David Seaton. If you watch a video, now I do think, and has it ever been absolutely said who the girl is in the video? Has the girl said, yes, that is me? Is there a girl who's come out and said that is me in the video and I was underage? Because I do think at some point that girl said that she was not underage, the girl in the video. So I'd like to know that too, if you guys know that. So Tony Brand said, and by the way, if you look into the 75% of the Fortune 500 companies and their CEOs, most will have some issue in their past that could cause concern. And I do think, especially with this Me Too movement, if you start looking into the background of CEOs and looking at people would come out, let alone if you can find stories about them, they may come out of the woodworks because of it, because now that's happening as well. Ernest said, for example, the cops at Waffle House dragged a black woman and threatened to break her arm. The prosecutor hasn't even charged them, so no conviction. But we all know these cops are brutal abusers. You don't have to wait for a conviction to slam them. I think that is a very good point, that when you know for a fact that they've done these crimes, and I do think that it is a known fact. I've heard from many, many friends myself who at Hyde Park and Kenwood have said they have witnessed R. Kelly coming to the schools and picking up girls, that they have actually been a witness. And I will say that I actually have my own, I don't know if I want to put a little R. Kelly's business out there, but I've actually had my own experience with underage girls being in R. Kelly's presence and him being okay with it. So if we say boycott Waffle House when none of the cops have been convicted of this, what would be the difference in boycotting R. Kelly? Are we that enslaved to his music and loving his music that we don't want to see him hurt we don't want to see him have any ramifications or take any accountability to the actions he's done against black girls, little black girls. So do we feel that we should start boycotting like we do at Waffle House? As we say, boycott Starbucks, boycott Waffle House. These are all people who haven't been convicted of crimes, but we say boycott. Why would R. Kelly be any different? James putting her out there. So what is that? Off the west side. I'm not sure. Explain that for me, James. When you say off the west side, I'm sure that's a response to something that I said, but I'm moving so quickly with the comments. So fill me in on what you mean by that. So I do agree, Ernest, that we don't necessarily have to wait for convictions. When we have hardcore proof and evidence that someone has done a crime, we don't have to wait for convictions to have them, hold them accountable to their actions. And so I bring, as someone who actually came today at 2:00 to sit here, which was waffling on how I felt. I know how I felt as a person, but also feeling like I hate to see someone's livelihood. Sparkle's cousin from the west side. Okay. So she has come out. Her identity, the girl in the video, her identity has come out. And was she underage, James? Was it a known fact that Sparkle's cousin from the west side was underage? Do we know that? And has she said she was underage at the time? Do we need to wait for convictions to hold them accountable? Because in our whole movement against the cops who hurt us, none of them have been convicted of anything. But we all say that we need to stand up because they won't ever be convicted. So R. Kelly may never be convicted. So should he never be held accountable to his crimes? So as someone like James said, it's just known. And I do think you're right. I do think it has come out that when we went to the time frame of the video, when you timestamp the video and you know that it's Sparkle's cousin, that by process of elimination and deductions, it has been deduced that the girl was underage at the time. David Seaton says, speaking as a father, I blame the parents of young girls who wind up with R. Kelly. If he comes for my daughter, he's going to be stepping in the name of love at his funeral. And I totally agree. It's for me to protect my daughter. But I do believe that some children have put their daughters up for that. They put a price tag on their daughters' heads. And I do believe Aaliyah's parents may be, and even the girl he's with now, I believe the mother contacted R. Kelly. So I do believe there are parents who have no problems putting their daughters up to this, that they have no problems for the fortune and fame, and that their daughters will be famous and they'll get paid. They have no issue, absolutely no issue putting handing their daughters over to R. Kelly with the promise of fame, that their CDs will be out, that there are parents who do this. And should the parents be held accountable and not R. Kelly? So what do you think about that? Are the parents more to blame than R. Kelly? Rob has always had a proclivity towards little girls. I had a parent of mine once try and get me to introduce her to him when I was near him at MacArthur's. So I do think absolutely that there are parents who have no problem. He was recently in the news with a girl when and the parents seemed to only get mad when they weren't receiving money from R. Kelly anymore. When he kept the girl and stopped giving money, and then it looked like the parents came out. So here I go again. Does that absolve him of guilt? Isn't he still guilty though, even if it is the parents' fault? Just because the parents are to blame, is R. Kelly now not to blame because he still knows these girls are underage, even if the parents are saying it's okay? So is this like with anything, do we take our own personal opinion to this? That I personally say he hasn't been found guilty. Now, I don't know if I agree with him being taken off Spotify. But as we talk more and more, it's becoming that I do think it's Spotify's right to do that. And at first, I think as I sat here, I was like, no, that's not right. But I do think as a business owner and I myself having a business, if I choose not to do business, no one's going to change my opinion for myself if I choose not to do business. James said both are culpable, and I agree. David Seaton said, and again, I'll ask you guys to please watch or tune in to Humanity in the Headlines, 1 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. The parents are exactly to blame. We can't say on one hand that these girls are young girls, but then hold the adults responsible, then not hold the adults responsible. But I think we should hold all the adults responsible, R. Kelly and her parents responsible. I do think the parents are absolutely, and as a parent, if my daughter were to fall into the hands of R. Kelly, I would feel I was partly to blame. Me, myself, my daughter ever wound up on a pole, I'm going to say, okay, what did I do? What didn't I do? Why didn't I get her help? I'm going to hold myself accountable for my children's actions because I'm in charge on what I produce and send into this world. I really feel like I put in the effort to produce human beings that will add to this world. So I would hold myself accountable. James Smith said it's trafficking, point blank. David Seaton said both are culpable, but the parents have the greatest responsibility to protect their children. Okay, so if a child is at Waffle House and he gets hurt by the cops, and he was talking, let's say a child was talking back to the cops. I think we saw the one boy at the latest Waffle House who was mouthy with the cops, and he wasn't necessarily being yes sir, no sir with the cops. Do we hold the parents accountable for his actions? I think there is I see all the points here. I really do. But I do think we could protest R. Kelly and be in our rights to protest him because we still know that he is an adult that's making a decision to go after young girls. Tony Brand said, if R. Kelly got a show on the Intellectual Radio, do you think some hosts would leave and protest? Ooh, good question. If R. Kelly and would we allow R. Kelly to have a show here at Intellectual Radio? I'm going to have to ask our super producer that. If R. Kelly said, I think R. Kelly would have a show here. I think he would. I'm going to ask our super producer, Earl Winfrey, if R. Kelly walked through this door right now and said, Earl, I want to have a show here on Intellectual Radio, I think he'd let R. Kelly fight his own battle here at the station. And I think he would still take him. I'm going to have to ask, would you? A super producer, if R. Kelly walked through this door and said he'd like to have a 2-hour slot here at Intellectual Radio, would you give him a show? I think he said yes. He'd give him a chance to answer the charges face to face. He hasn't been convicted. Why not speak for himself? So I think he said, now would some of the hosts leave in protest? I think they'd be taking pictures here on this backdrop behind me. I'm sorry, but I think they'd be lining up on his show day, coming in here, you would see you would see this backdrop and R. Kelly and the host taking pictures with. So I think unfortunately, the host will be showing up. If R. Kelly had a show here on Sundays at Intellectual Radio, the host will be coming in early for their shows and you would be seeing them posted with pictures. So I'm going to speak that no, they wouldn't boycott. And my hosts that are on this post, let me know. David Seaton, would you not come and do your show if R. Kelly had a show here? James said that isn't even the same game. Tell me why that isn't. The police issue is very different. Okay, I will say that is different. James Smith said, how many people here would let Rob babysit their 12 or 14-year-old daughter? No, hey, can I say hell no here at the station? No, I can't. So hecky no. No. R. Kelly will not be around my daughters. No. He will not be around my daughters. But do I care if someone else listens to his music though? Yeah, I'm not. Ernest Tuckett said he'd have a show, but Earl would ban him from having any girls as guests. Yes, he will. And we would ban all young girls from being in the studio. I think we would not dangle fresh meat to R. Kelly. And I know this is no laughing matter, so I don't mean to say that, but no, I do think though we would allow R. Kelly to come here and have his say. Maybe he did get charged extra or something. I don't know. So that's a very good point. And I will say the police situation is different, but I think Ernest brought that situation up that we boycott Waffle House with none of the cops being convicted. Why is conviction a thing that we should still boycott R. Kelly because wrong is wrong? James Smith said, and thank you, Wilhelmina, who's joined. Thank you, James Hamilton, who's joined, and everybody who's joined the broadcast, Brian, and who has chimed in. I so appreciate you. How is that the same as Waffle House? Look, Denny's used to be called Sambo's. I don't say that that's the same, other than we do boycott situations without anyone having convictions. We say that their actions are wrong, so therefore we boycott them. So we boycott people who have not been convicted of any crimes. So why is it not okay to boycott R. Kelly when he hasn't been convicted of any crimes? But I will say that the situation with the beating of the cops is different. But the boycotting of people who have not been convicted, I will say, is somewhat similar. So you can tell me if you agree with that. But when you guys asked about R. Kelly having a show here, I think R. Kelly, now would we have a lot of I do think people would show up who don't agree with him too, though. I do think that his protesters, and maybe we get protested. It'd be interesting to see if people would boycott intellectual radio for having R. Kelly on. That would be a very interesting dynamic that we'd have to cross that bridge when we got to it. James Smith said, what's the boycott? Look, would a Muslim really buy gospel music, and so on? Would a Muslim really buy gospel music? They probably do. I think there are Muslims who probably listen to R. Kelly. I don't know. So Muslims, don't get mad at me. I don't know what you all do, and I respect your religion and what you decide you will and will not listen to. But I do think there are some Muslims who are still stepping in the name of love, or purchasing gospel music. I don't know. Some people will do what they like despite their religion. I don't know. But I won't put that out there. I am going to say, and my opinions are not those of Intellectual Radio. So anything I'm saying here on He Said, She Said, with Wanda B, is not the opinions of anyone at Intellectual Radio, just to put that out there. So Tony Brand said, when you're ready to have a conversation about the police issues, I know a few people who would be perfect for the show. You know what? I usually keep, he said, she said, about relationships, but I think one day I will actually open it up, because I've been doing the little things unconventional, just like today's show, that's set up totally different in our studios, that I think I will actually do that show. So let's put that together. I do think that would be a good show, really, to talk about police brutality. So let's plan that for June. Tony. So I say I'm going to put that in the works for June, and then I'll have David Seaton in, if David Seaton is available to be on that panel as well. So I love that idea. James Smith said, art is art. If his art is exposing some stuff that I don't agree with, then I'm not buying it. And I agree. For me, like I said, I've witnessed R. Kelly. So it's not that I can say R. Kelly is innocent. I know R. Kelly is innocent to what he does. I know as a whole fact myself. So that's why I'm making the choice for myself not to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to. I hear his music come on. I was out the other night, and we have a game night at Lakewood Bowl, the first Thursdays of every month. He Said, She Said has teamed up with Becoming Dateable, and it's at Lakewood Bowl in Richton Park, and we have a game night, and I was at that game night. It's also an open mic night. I'm at that game night. They play R. Kelly, and I decided to step. Now, I know R. Kelly does not care less that I'm sitting down and I'm not stepping, or I'm not dancing, or Happy People comes on and I'm not one of those happy people. I know he doesn't care, but it's my own protest. It to me, it makes me feel better, so I do it. Okay, and I know it doesn't affect R. Kelly one bit. Tony Brand said, you might as well go on ahead and tell the story about him. About whom? So James Smith, which of Rob's songs really talk about an old man molesting a little girl? Then tell me what song. Little girl, then tell me what song. I don't really know, and I'm gonna be honest. I am not that big of an R. Kelly fan that I know all his music. The 12 play days, I was a fan, and then everything else is kind of a song here and there. But I will say that I feel like I'm okay with taking a stand against him. I think it partly too why I feel like I don't want to is because I think I don't like to see any black men hurt in any way. And I think unfortunately that's a little bit of the feeling I have is I don't want to see him hurt, but he's hurt others. So then you go back and say, well, look at it. He's committed a crime, and should he be held accountable? Should I personally hold him accountable? Because if it was my daughter, would I be pissed off? Absolutely. So I go back as a mother. Then I said, who am I as a mother, and what kind of role model do I want to be to my girls? And so then I go back into, when I think of all the different things I think about when I make decisions, I'll go back to I'm a mother first. I'm a mother first, and I make my decisions on what's best for my family and the type of role model I like to be for my children. So a lot of times my decisions on what I do in life is I think about everything, the ramifications, and then I take it back to as a mom. What do I do as a mom? So how many people would let, if R. Kelly said, yeah, I'm going to spend the night at your house, would you let him stay there with your children? Stay in the same house with your children? I love to hear who would actually do that and hear from you guys. Would you guys let R. Kelly babysit your daughter? Would take your daughter out? If R. Kelly said, I want to take your 18-year-old daughter out, would you be okay with that? Your daughter's 18. Would you be okay? No child of mine can be around R. Kelly. Just no. And I do have a daughter that'll be 21 this year. Now, if she made that choice on her own, I would kind of think, what did I do as a mama? Oh Lord! But it's her life to live, and she'd be on to her own mistakes. James Smith said that's a parental decision. A mother or father could hand their daughter over. Yeah. Oh, yes. I agree that that's a parental decision. Yeah, I'm not saying just mothers, and I am, because I'm only speaking for myself. But yes, there are just as many fathers, and I do believe the last girl that came into issue, and Leah as well, their fathers were very much involved in that decision to have their daughter around R. Kelly. There are fathers who were involved in some of these girls making the decision to be with R. Kelly. And we take that back to the Hugh Hefner. I don't know if I've ever heard the Hugh Hefner stories if those girls were underage and or if parents are involved. I think on some of these R. Kelly situations, the parents were very much involved. And I think Hugh Hefner, some of those girls, I've heard their background or read stories about them, and they, some of their parents may have been involved, or they were runaways and not even involved with their parents either. They were runaways from their parents. So, again, if you have a topic that you like to talk about, I would love to talk about them. And I'm going to be back next week talking about Take the Mona Lisa Down. Was Mona Lisa underage? Oh, give me the story of Mona Lisa, James. Did they take the Mona Lisa or some of those other crazy butt artists? I don't think who is Mona Lisa done by? Oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank, but I do know who Mona Lisa was. She underage when she sat for that? And do we know if they had sexual relations? I don't know if I know that much about Mona Lisa and that picture, that art being taken. Tell the story about R. Kelly that you witnessed. Oh, I'm so hesitant to tell that story. But you know what? I'll go ahead and tell that story very quickly. R. Kelly's birthday. I was invited by a friend who is a background singer, and I'm not going to name any names of R. Kelly, to come to R. Kelly's home for his birthday. And so they picked up girls. You know what? Did we sign something? You know what? I'm not going to mention that because we did sign something that we couldn't talk about the situation. We signed some. R. Kelly has more money than me, and I am not going to put out here on social media that story because R. Kelly could sue me and I would lose. Because R. Kelly has way more money than me and my little 2 cents, and I put my little 2 cents out there, and R. Kelly says he gonna make an example of me and put me out there, and I lose my little position here at Intellectual Radio. I'm not telling that story. I'll tell privately, but I'm not telling out on social media how that went down. So sorry, not telling. Okay. Tony Brand said, Wanda, your small act of protest is needed. Sit down and don't feel bad about it. Look at Colin Kaepernick. One man took a stand and changed the way billionaires do business. So, yes, that's not Huff. That was Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, I don't know the story of Jeffrey Epstein or Epstein. I don't know that story. So you'll have to fill me in on that. So next week, guys, I'm going to be talking about the movie Acrimony, because a lot of men felt like that movie told their story. I had a show a couple weeks back, and a couple of guys, I think Ernest, you may have been on that panel. O'Kara was on that panel, and James Borshade, who is the life coach for He Said, She Said, was on that panel. And Elaine was on that panel. I think we discussed the movie Acrimony, Anemia. And I've had a couple requests from people. So Nicole, Nikki will be on next week as we talk about the movie Acrimony and how men feel about that story from the movie Acrimony. So if you guys want to catch up with me and we all go see it now, don't go sit on bootleg. I don't know. Go pay the money. I don't even know if it's still out. So I may have to try to do the bootleg, but I don't want to. I'm going to go pay my little money on the Tuesday, on the cheap day Tuesday, and go catch up on Acrimony. Or if you see it on Netflix, or if you see it, I don't know, I think it's on Netflix. If you see it on your Fire Stick, chime in with me and tell me your opinion, because a lot of men felt they were affected by that. But next week, that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to wrap up. So I do appreciate you all who has Google Epstein. He is a convict child sex trafficker with Trump. Really? Clinton and many other famous stars. I'm going to have to do some more on this topic. So maybe I go back to my 2 hours next week. I will expound on this topic next week and I'll do my research on that, James. And James, you should come in. I think you're in the Chicagoland area. If ever you would like to be a guest on He Said, She Said, I'd love to have you guys inbox me. You're watching here from my Facebook page, so you can inbox me here. My government little name there on Facebook, or Wanda B, Bumblebee. I have another page on Facebook, and you can inbox me there as well. And if you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to have you. I'm booking for July, June, and end of June and July right now. Love to have you. And then we're going to be talking about Acrimony next week. And then, James, I'm going to bring in more of that story because I'm not really familiar with it. So I'll look that up and go back to that topic. So just to give you guys a few announcements, I'd love for you to check out one of my sponsors, Journey to Wholeness Center. They're at 9501 New England in Oak Lawn. And if you ever need help with any emotional things, they're the place to go. You like yoga, you like massage, you would like reflexology, you like Tai Chi, a gong. They have gong therapy, so many different things. Go to their website and check them out. It's journeytowholeness.org, journeytowholeness.org, and check into that. Also, the first Thursday in June, we are going to be at Lakewood Bowl. It's in Richton Park. Lakewood Bowl in Richton Park, and we're going to be having a game night. We play Family Feud, Jenga, spades, full games, open mic. A lot of comedians come out. We've had some really funny comedians. I'm there with Becoming Dateable, Monica Payne, Ava Rue, and then also buzzing off, LaTonya Lane comes out. So we'd love to have you out, and that's going to be the first Thursday in June. And so thank you guys. I am going to sign off. Fun topic. We talked R. Kelly today, social media. Next week we're going to talk about Acrimony. And if you have any topics you'd like for me to discuss, because you guys brought up a topic, we're definitely going to bring that up. Please hit me in my inbox and let me know, because I'll definitely make it a show. We'll make it a topic. So thank you for spending some time with me on Mother's Day, making my Mother's Day nice. I so appreciate you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you, Bryant. Thank you, Vicky. All you guys who chimed in today. Ken Williams, he's from my class. Hey, classmate, happy birthday, Ken Williams. Thank you, Talisha. Kenya Lost Kelly. Hello, Kenya. Davey, Melvin Hughes. All you guys who chimes in on Facebook, I so appreciate you guys and being a part of the show. Tony Brands, appreciate you as well. You always come out the game night. We do the he's versus the she's. And the he's have been beating us. So guys, all my guys here on this, you better come out and help. We do the he said, she said, and we do the guys versus the gals, the he's versus the she's. And the fellas fellas have been beating the ladies. So I need you guys to come out, and I need the ladies to come out who know their sports. I need sports ladies out too. Hey, John Russo, thank you for liking and sharing the broadcast. So thank you all. Thank you all. Say Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I so appreciate you guys. And where would we all be without a mother? We all have a mother. So thank you for watching the show. And I am going to see you next week here, same time, same place at IntellectualRadio.com, where he said, she said. Thank you, super producer Earl Winfrey, for giving me this new setup for today. That's my Mother's Day gift. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
You are so amazing. You spilled me the world to me, baby. You are so amazing. Oh, that you hear me. We were young, barely out of high school when we first looked down.